Hey guys, what's going on? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer. A bit of a serious topic. I know it's one that's kind of been beaten to death recently on the platform. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm going to talk about depression and video games. Now, before you roll your eyes, it's not what you think. This video is more of a, I hate to use the word shout out, but I'm going to be talking about a video I watched recently of someone who is very close knit in this community. He's been around for a long time. We'll get into that in a moment. So why do I want to talk about this as I open up this beer? Pabst Blue Ribbon. So I don't suffer from depression. At least I don't think I do. I obviously am just like anyone else. I'm human. I have good days and I have bad days. Most days are good. Obviously, you know, everybody has a breaking point. Everybody goes through things in their personal life, which can be, for some person out there, it might not seem like a big deal. And for someone else, the same thing that they're going through, it could be, a huge weight on their shoulders. I'm going to share a story about myself. And I also want to talk about a video that inspired me to post this video myself to get the discussion going. So before I get into the video that I recently watched, I do want to also mention Ken's Game Collection posted a video on depression a few months back, and it was a very candid and a very raw video, and I really appreciated that. So if you get a chance to go over to Ken's channel, I highly recommend checking that video, especially if you're out there, maybe you're battling depression and maybe you don't feel comfortable to talk to somebody about it. Maybe if you watch his video, it might help you out. Another guy that is a close friend of mine, I feel like he is Cujo. You know who you are, George. He posted an incredible video as well, kind of delving into his personal life, and that really struck a nerve as well, and I really appreciate that guy. So the video I'm going to talk about today, you guys have seen this guy in the comments section. He's pretty well known, and that's Larry, the old school gamer, Lawrence Dagstein. Now, Larry, it's funny, when we first sort of started engaging with each other, it was actually in Rick's comment section. And I actually have to apologize to Lawrence because I actually gave him a hard time. Obviously, we were all talking about, the e-bagging, the Patreon, and the PayPal. And I happen to notice that Lawrence, he's actually an author. He writes books. I believe he writes a lot of science fiction. And I happen to notice he had a PayPal. I don't think it was a Patreon. I think he had a PayPal on his website. And that's the thing, and I don't want to get too far off topic, but when we talk about Patreon and PayPal and all these paywalls, it's not really Patreon and PayPal that's the issue. It's how it's being used in certain circumstances. Lawrence, obviously, he's an author. He could probably justify having a PayPal or a Patreon because, let's be honest, that's a very hard industry to get into. It's very hard to be successful in that industry. So I didn't really look at it from a 360-degree perspective when I judged him on that, and for that I apologize. Anyhow, I got to know this guy. Again, I don't know him personally, but we engaged back and forth in the comment section. One thing led to another, and I actually ended up subscribing to his channel. And now he's got one of my most favorite channels that I watch. I'm a big fan of the long, drawn-out videos, and he likes to post these long videos. He posted one recently. The guy lives in like Manhattan, New York, and he's in the subway station at 4 in the morning. It's freezing out, and he's walking through the subway station getting ready for Black Friday. I thought that was just awesome. Anyways, Lawrence, I'll put a link in the description if you want to check out his channel. He posted a video about how he's dealt with depression over the years. I'm not going to go into specifics because, frankly, it's a very personal video, and I don't even know if he would feel comfortable if I talked about some of the things that he talks about in his video. I don't want to, shine a spotlight on him and make him feel uncomfortable, but I highly recommend if you can go check out his video. I reached out and asked him for permission to do this video because I didn't want to go over his head and start talking about him if he didn't feel comfortable about it. But Anyways, Lawrence posted a video talking about depression. He does talk a little bit about Woodhawker and how he's trying to raise money and all that stuff, and he puts a real good perspective on it. But Lawrence talks about certain things he's gone through in his life, and it really struck a nerve because, again, I don't really battle depression, but I really appreciated the video he put out and some of the things that he talked about. I'm going to be honest with you, the video was brutally hard to watch because some of the stuff that he described was very intense, very graphic, and but he had to get it out there because he's real. He's authentic. He's not beating around the bush. He's telling it how it is. He does talk a little bit about how at one point he went through a divorce, and anyone who's gone through a divorce, that can bring a man or a woman down. That's a life-altering experience, and that can obviously trigger a lot of emotions. So he mentions about how he went through a divorce. He mentions about how with his girlfriend, they were expecting his second son, and she ended up unfortunately having a miscarriage, and that spearheaded another turn of events for him that involved depression as well. He talked about some of the medication that he's on, some anxiety medication. And again, I don't want to go too far into his conversation piece that he put up, but I did want to really stress, if any of you guys out there are battling depression, or if you have in the past, I highly recommend checking out this man's video. Again, I watched it. It's about 45 minutes long, and it was very, how should I say it, therapeutic to listen to him speak and the things that he talked about. And one of the things that he did talk about was how video games saved his life. I know some of you might laugh at that, for someone to say something like that, but I can appreciate it. I'm not athletic. I'm not gifted. I'm not Mr. Popular. I'm not part of the social club. I don't have much going on outside of work these days. But what I do have is my video games. And it's going to sound crazy, but sometimes when I pick up if I'm having a bad day, and if I go to the store and I pick up that brand new game, it puts a smile on my face. I bring it home. I'm excited to take off the plastic wrap, open up the case and smell the plastic. Look at that disc. It puts a smile on my face. It is what it is. Everybody has something that calms them and puts them in a good state of mind. And for me, it's video games, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Again, you like playing hockey. This guy over here likes playing baseball. Everybody's got their own hobbies. Well, we've got video games. So if video games keeps you positive, keeps you alive, keeps you sane, then all the power to you. Now, I'll share a story with you guys about myself. And, again, I don't typically battle depression, but I'm human, and everybody has their moments. Now, I'm not going to go into too much specifics, but about a year and a half ago, I had a pretty good job, or so I thought. It was a good paying job. And my girlfriend at the time, when I first started dating her, she wasn't completely honest with me. And then later on in the relationship, she divulged to me that she had a DUI charge, which, if you guys have ever been in a relationship with somebody who's had a DUI charge, or impaired driving charge, it takes its toll on the relationship. And I wasn't really happy that she wasn't honest about it. She was working at the same company as me at the time, and I had transitioned into another role, and that was the one I was just talking about. And anyways, long story short, I won't go into specifics. She sort of maneuvered her way into the same department I was in, because the department that she was in, they do criminal background checks every so often, and she was afraid if they did another criminal background check, they'd catch her DUI and she'd lose her job. So she ended up working with me, unbeknownst to management. They didn't know we were dating, so we were living a lie until they finally found out. And then things just got worse from there. And at one point, we were actually engaged. I don't know. I must have been not in the right state of mind. But the employees didn't know that. Nobody knew we were dating. And anyway, she kept lying to people about her impaired driving. She was lying to her relatives. You know, she was lying to all kinds of people that she was close to. You know, at one point she took a trip to New Zealand and she drove around New Zealand without a driver's license and rented a car and lied about that as well. So eventually, it got really bad. It got real toxic. She was a raging alcoholic. So she'd be sober, but if she had one drink, she'd see red, and she'd turn into a maniac. So eventually I cut ties with her, but we were still working together. So you can imagine how awkward that was. Not only were we working with each other, we were sitting right next to each other. Toxic as could be. So finally, fast forward, enough was enough. I had enough of that. I quit my job. So I broke off that relationship. I quit my job. I walked out. I didn't have a job. I didn't know what I was doing. So you could imagine what was going on in my head. I mean, I was already depressed working with somebody that I was in a long-term relationship with. I was engaged to. And then to have to sit next to that person in that type of environment, it was just awful. So when I quit, it was a huge sigh of relief because obviously I didn't have to deal with that burden. But then there's an extra level of stress because now I don't have a job. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It was just a very confusing time. Now I ended up turning it around. I ended up following my dreams and pursuing something else that was really interesting to me, which I'm going to post in another video. I don't want to talk about it right now. But I'm just saying, everybody has a period in their life where they have darkness all around them and you don't know what to do. Luckily, like I said, video games was there for me to comfort me. I think around the time that was all going down, I had picked up Red Dead Redemption 2, so I was playing that. And also this channel, I was putting out videos to keep me busy. And you guys were talking to me in the comment section, so you guys helped me out a lot. You got me through a real hard time as well. So that's just one example. I just wanted to share that. By no means am I trying to compare myself to Lawrence or even Ken or George, but I just wanted to have a conversation. And if you guys see anyone out there that you know and you have an inkling that maybe something's not right, maybe something's off with that person, you should definitely reach out and ask the person if they're doing okay, because they might appreciate that. I've done that for people before, and they've actually said, you know what, I'm not doing okay, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. And you go for a walk, grab a coffee, have a conversation. That's what it's all about. And like I said, with Lawrence, his video is so raw and visceral and uncut, and what he ends up talking about, I really appreciate the guy. And not only that, I talked to him recently, and he even said to me, because he only lives about 8 hours away, he's in obviously around New York City, which is 8 hours away. He said, if you're ever in the area, hit me up and we'll meet up for a pizza slice. So what a guy, eh? Like, just a class act. Even Darius knows Lawrence as well. So Lawrence, if you're watching this, buddy, I really appreciate you letting me talk about your inspirational video. I really appreciate engaging with you in the comments. And I'm so glad we still have you today. This platform wouldn't be the same without you. So thanks again, Lawrence. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Until next time, take care.